Tuesday, everyone. Okay, in discussing the Daily Show interview with Fareed Zakaria, I thought it was really interesting that he pointed out that the importance of having a liberal education, the big reason is that you are having a broad education that lasts a lifetime versus more specialized education. He was saying that it's not a first job that you're hoping to get education for. You're trying to get an education that's going to benefit you for your 6th, 7th, 8th job, not necessarily when you're right out of college. And I thought that was a really interesting view. Personally, that's one of the reasons that I'm getting a general liberal sciences degree, is because I can go into a variety of fields. So I thought it was really interesting that he pointed that out. I also found it interesting, he had mentioned that politicians and even the education boards are cutting funding for a lot of these liberal arts programs. And for me, that tied back to even not just at college, but I'm realizing they are doing it to elementary school, middle schools, and high schools. They're cutting art programs, they're cutting music programs, and I wonder the effect that that's going to have on later generations. Is the interest to be in a liberal college, is it going to be the same? Because a lot of these kids haven't been influenced by these programs the same way maybe you were if you were in school 10, 20, 30 years ago. So I think that's interesting to think about. I did like that Jon Stewart touched on education K through 12. I found it interesting that Fareed Zakaria had said, yes, there's clear issues, but that's not what we're talking about. And I found it interesting that he didn't want to tie in the fact that one influences the other pretty directly. Because I personally think they have a huge correlation. If the main goal in a liberal arts education is to teach critical thinking, you do have to wonder why critical thinking is not a important subject to teach when your kids start learning. And what else? Oh, I also thought it was really interesting that he talked about how the online learning has been a huge game changer, not just because of how many hundreds of thousands of people it can reach, but I thought it was really interesting that he said that we're getting a lot more data on how people are learning now because of how many people we reach, and how the increase in data is changing how certain teachers are teaching things and explaining things, and how also they're noticing, if a kid fails a certain test, it means they missed out on a very specific thing that they can quickly educate a student on. So I thought all those things were really, really interesting to learn about. And I will probably go and read that book just to see what he has to say. So look forward to hearing everyone else's thoughts. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday night. Bye.